and we grew up together, and yes, but have you known him for long? Oh, I've known him forever. I've known him since he was stupid. So it should hopefully not negate the fact that you can say something intelligent afterwards. So I think the same thing is true with penitence, because we hear that in Humanae Vitae when the Holy Father spoke to those women who'd had abortions and said, but you can be a strong voice for life. Here too, these people can be a strong voice to be able to say, this is what you can be. You don't have to follow this path.
Yeah. Just a qualification on that. Medical hazards. It's my understanding that in this day and age, if you had one of these procedures lately, in the last few years, is a big difference, say, than 20 years ago or whatever, in terms of the medical?
Well, it depends entirely on the individual who's done the procedures, and it has its own difficulties, especially with things such as clipping or cutting fallopian tubes with scarring, etc. So I would doubt that would be without its hazards.
Okay.
I think the next is, and that would be our last.
Yes, Father, thank you. I'm on the faculty at McMaster in the Department of Family Medicine. My question to you is, here in Ontario this past summer, a lot of us doctors who don't contracept and don't refer for abortion were put on notice that we're going to be hauled up in front of the Ontario Human Rights Commission. Mm-hmm. And so there is a war coming. And what I'd like to know from you is, perhaps it is time for Domine Quo Vadis. Maybe it's time to return and be crucified. But is there any word of wisdom that you can give those of us who've been in the trenches about how to avoid crucifixion if we can be smarter, or is that inevitable?
Wisdom and knowledge is not wisdom. Okay, you can have all kinds of people that are smart but really act stupidly because they've never reflected on their knowledge. And prudence is the practical exercise of wisdom. Because we are social animals, we must, as the Greek philosophers say, be political animals. Because we must negotiate constantly. Anybody that's had a 2-year-old knows that. You must negotiate constantly. And indeed, if you're married, you know that. I've got a bishop, I know that. Okay? Okay. And it means, politically speaking, that there are all kinds of levels of politics. It's called subsidiarity. And those levels are necessary for a fully functioning civic society. So we necessarily will meet with those who are professional in whatever degree. Okay? And therefore, I would say to people that one of the works that you have to be able to look at is exactly what Pope Leo XIII and every other pontiff since has said, that this is a union, okay? Within unions, there is a moral responsibility, whether you call it a union or professional association, there is a moral responsibility to take the roles of leadership, which is politics, within that professional association or that union. So that's number one. I really believe that as grubby as it is, as you think it is, politics is a noble thing. We cannot live in society without politics, not just at the MP's level, but basic politics at these associations, whether that is teachers' unions, school boards, professional associations. And you have to absolutely be militant of saying, I refuse to pretend that this is a secular society. We do not live in a secular society. We live in a pluralistic society. And if you don't believe me, look at a $20 bill and see who's on the $20 bill. The head of the Anglican Church is on the $20 bill. So this is what I call political jujitsu. You must demand, you have to use their weight against them in jujitsu. I know because I'm small. So you use their weight against them. Okay, and the same thing is saying, do you understand that if you try to force this on us, that I will go to the Human Rights Commission? Okay, that I will go there because when I stand up before university groups, I say, hi, talk about a triple loser here. Male, okay, Catholic, and a Catholic priest. And yet I'm here not because I'm a Catholic priest. I'm here because I'm a citizen, and I have a right to speak. And you are not going to take that right away from me. Because we live in a society where I have fought for this right, and others have fought for my right, and the same thing is true here. So you're quite right. I believe that we have to engage in that battle as well. But let me say one thing. You need to be able to recognize that we must be, sharp in this battle and recognize to be willing to be engaged in the battle. But we also must recognize that at times we will have to suffer the fate of martyrs. Very interesting that John Paul II in almost all his documents talked about martyrdom. And he meant martyrdom. And we will all have to suffer that to some degree. But don't be a stupid martyr. Eh? I asked my parents when I was 10, why was I named Thomas? And my mom sort of stopped and said, I'm not sure. We were sort of busy. Oh. But she said it means you can get to choose whichever patron saint you want. That's good, eh? She was sharp on the uptick. And she said, so I chose St. Thomas More. Because he was a smart martyr. In some ways, he was a reluctant martyr. Okay? But he did everything to do that he could do. And I believe that is what we're called to do too. It may be martyrdom. You're quite right. It may be, Quo Vadis is where Peter turned again to come back to Rome. Eh? But not before its time. Because remember that it's not just myself that might have to suffer that, but I have to be able to defend others who will not be as brave, who will not be as skilled, who will not be as connected or whatever. That is my responsibility too. We must be able to be drawn together. Alex just said, there is strength and unity, and that's what we aim for. And Dan's coming up. So thank you very much.